Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dynasty After Dark. I'm your host Calvin Timms, and today I've got another episode for you talking about Dynasty strategy, and this is for rookie drafts coming up, and talking through who should be the 101 for Superflex leagues, because that's been a hot topic recently in the Dynasty community. You saw Anthony Richardson had his pro day today. You know, CJ Stroud just had his a couple days ago. Bijan, I'm not sure if Texas is having one or not, but those are the three guys that are kind of the consensus 101 that I've heard so far. So my question is, which one of those guys should be the 101 for your Dynasty League? Now, if you talk to pretty much anybody, the ballers and a lot of other people, they almost all universally have Bijan Robinson as the 101. And I get it. I do understand that, but I wanted to add a little bit of context to that because I think that it's a little bit misguided. And this completely depends on your league settings, right? At least I should say, I don't think it's misguided. It's more of an open conversation than what it's being made out to be, in my opinion. Now, this all depends on your league settings. Of course, if you have 4-point passing touchdowns, okay, quarterbacks aren't as valuable as the running backs. If you're on one quarterback, this isn't even a conversation. It's Bijan 101, no matter what. But if you are in a 6-point passing touchdown league, or your quarterbacks get a few more points, you know, the rushing upside of an Anthony Richardson, potentially, or 6-point, the passing upside of Richardson and Stroud there, that's where it gets a little bit more interesting, right? So I went back and I looked at the last couple of years. And real quick, before we jump into the history here, podcast is on YouTube, Spotify, Google, Apple, anywhere podcasts are found. While you're there, if you can, please just leave a comment, leave a subscription, review, 5-star review, 1-star, I don't care. Just help me out here and give anything to help with the algorithm to get this out to more people. And listen to the whole video. It's not even that long. So I'm going to break it down quickly for you, and hopefully you guys will be able to get some valuable Dynasty information for your rookie drafts here coming up. All right, that said, back to the history of the last couple of years. Now, you go back to just a couple years ago, the Joe Burrow draft class, and he was the kind of consensus 101, him and Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor and Clyde Edwards-Helaire was up there as well, but Jonathan Taylor, I'm going to say, was the 101 running back for that year, just kind of because, yeah, Clyde didn't work out. But at the time, Clyde was very, very popular for a lot of people. Don't let them retcon that at all. I'm not afraid to say that, you know, the landing spot was really good for Clyde. He jumped up to the 101 in a lot of places, but it didn't work out. Jonathan Taylor's been much better over that time period. He was the better prospect going in. So let's give him the hindsight of saying that he was the better player. Joe Burrow versus Jonathan Taylor, right? You go and look at the last couple of years. Now, you take out, you got to go per game average in his first year because Joe Burrow only played 10 games in that first year. But last year, in a 4-point passing touchdown league, or not last year, 2021, he scored 323 total points. Now, Jonathan Taylor, in his rookie year, had 256 and 384 in his second year, playing all 17 games. Which means that in year 2, his sophomore season, JT blew Joe Burrow out of the water in terms of points scored, right? And that's fine. That's kind of an outlier season. Although, you know, for Jonathan Taylor, he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. It just kind of goes to show in year 1, 256 points. Year 2, 384 points, a massive uptick there. Last year, gets injured, only plays 11 games. The offense kind of falls apart. 148 points. And that's kind of the benefit and also the risk when it comes to these rookie running backs, right? Bijan Robinson is the air quote best running back that we've ever seen coming out of the draft, right? And if he is better than Jonathan Taylor, maybe he's going to justify that. But these running backs, we've seen it multiple years in a row now. These guys get injured a lot more routinely than what we'd like. And it's entirely possible that Bijan Robinson comes out and plays 17 games for his entire career until he retires at the age of 35. We have no idea. but the likelihood is he's going to get injured at a higher rate. Now you can see his ceiling is going to be much higher than a young quarterback. Even when Joe Burrow was really good in 2021 and even this last year, Jonathan Taylor's best season, which was his sophomore season, was much better than Joe Burrow. Now, a couple other guys I wanted to look at here as well. Najee Harris versus Trevor Lawrence from just a couple seasons. I think it was 2 years ago now at this point. Man, time flies. Time really flies in Dynasty. But, you look at his rookie season, played 17 games, 304.7 points versus Trevor Lawrence, 201 points. Now, this last year, of course, the Urban Meyer experiment was over. Trevor Lawrence had a massive step up, finishes the quarterback number 8, 299 points. Najee Harris, the offense kind of regressed without Big Ben, 225 points. The volatility there at the running back position entirely relies on the offense. If the offense takes a step back, these guys are going to struggle to put up routine fantasy points. And we don't know where Bijan's going to go yet, but assuming that it's not the best offense unless the Cowboys trade up, like we talked about yesterday, me and Dale, it's entirely possible that they will do that, which at that point, okay, yeah, sure, guns blazing. But, Najee Harris still had a better season, a better peak than Trevor Lawrence so far through the beginning of their careers. The problem is now Najee Harris is 25 years old. Jonathan Taylor is 24 years old. Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow's 26. Now, when a quarterback, you hear 26, oh, he's still very, very young. You hear 25 for a running back, you're like, oh, man, he's getting out there. I only got a couple more years with this guy. So there is a lot to discuss there in terms of just the prospect, right? Bijan Robinson will most likely have a higher ceiling than either of Anthony Richardson or CJ Stroud. But the longevity and the, more consistency, if they do pan out to be good quarterbacks, definitely lies on the CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson side. Now, again, between those two guys specifically, Richardson and Stroud, I have Stroud higher, but that is with 4-point passing touchdown. That's most of my leagues in mind, 6-point passing touchdowns in most of my leagues. I have that in mind when I'm thinking of CJ Stroud. If you're in a 4-point passing touchdown, when you get 10 points or 1 point for every 10 yards that the quarterback rushes, man, that was a jumble of words. Apologize for that. But if you get 1 point for every 10 yards rushing instead of the 1 for 25 that some leagues have transitioned over to, Anthony Richardson should definitely be in play for a Superflex for the 101. Again, youth and longevity at the position. He is much more raw than someone like CJ Stroud, but his ceiling is much higher, and he has a pretty high floor due to the rushing as well. So I believe that you should probably take the quarterback in a Superflex over the running back. And, if you are the 101 and you haven't traded for the 101, if you've traded for it, it makes a little bit of a difference. Team makeup makes a difference here. If you're a good team and you traded for the 101 last year before it was known what position it would be, or this offseason going to get Bijan, okay, go get your guy. I get it. I understand that. But if you're a team that legitimately earned the 101 because your team is not that great right now, get the quarterback. You're going to be able to utilize those guys much higher. There's a lot more longevity with the position. Even if they're bad, people believe in quarterbacks a lot longer. Even Zach Wilson, the Jets are refusing to give up on the kid, and he's not been very good through 2 years. They're going to let him sit behind Aaron Rodgers and hopefully resurrect his career. Jordan Love was a first-round pick, and he did nothing for the first 3 years of his career. Now, all of a sudden, he's back to being a late first-round pick in Superflex leagues. And, even if CJ Stroud goes and sits and doesn't play for the next 2 years, he's still going to hold value. It's just going to happen. So invest in the quarterback. I get it. Bijan is very exciting. I understand the temptation to go for the running back there. But if you need a quarterback, if your team is not, even if you don't need a quarterback, if your team isn't that great, go get the quarterbacks because they're going to be worth more in a Superflex than Bijan is. And I understand how much and how hard that can be. But unless you traded for him, or you traded for that pick and you have a really, really good roster, I just don't think that it's smart to be taking a running back 101 and bypassing those two quarterbacks specifically. I think those guys are going to be much better difference makers for your team long term. So that's my thoughts on the running back versus the quarterback debate for the 101 overall. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, wherever you're listening. Again, if you can, like, comment, subscribe, do whatever just to help with the algorithm. I would appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter at TDC_Calvin, and we'll be back next week with some more podcasts. We're going to be starting our rankings next week. So if you're looking forward to that, hit us up next week. We're going to be starting with quarterback rankings, and yeah, top 24 it will be. So we're coming up on the NFL draft, and that's when things are going to get really wild. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. Have a good night.